Okay, Jeff here. So this is the use case, the real world artificial intelligence use case number one of this series. And I'm going to talk about how we can be using any type of AI for translation systems. I've been doing this for 30 years, since 1995. 2005, I'll make it 30 years. And yes, was one of the first use cases of AI 70, 80 years ago. Okay, so this is always, and even with all the generative AI and all the LLMs and stuff, translation is one of those ones that is still around and doing it the most because it's text. So there's movement to audio and to video and to images and stuff. And we'll go into that in other use cases. Okay, but I want to stick to this one first. So translation of text, and I'm just going to point to a few of my articles where I've done it. Conference talks and articles where I talked about it. So the key ones I think to go back, and I talked about statistics, right? These are again statistics of how fast and productive and efficient it has been. So one of the key ones that you want to read, going back, is at the AMTA, the Association for Machine Translation in the Americas, in 2004. The proceedings of that, you can go from a LinkedIn profile and its publications. There's a list of all my publications, and that look at the AMTA 2004. Yeah, that's when I was working at MyCom, and I did two different in production using it. Two different cases that I explained. I gave all the statistics, the time, the amount of files I did, everything. It's all there, black and white, table format, explaining it and how much time was saved, how much time it took, and the situation. This is in the telecom field. This is with real contracts, real RFP, reply for proposal, or RFQ actually for a quote, and the other one was a specific one on a request for a user acceptance test with conditional and provisional acceptance, and all the content for that. So that's the Michael one. Again, conference talk. So that's all given. It's been published. Another one that you want to look at, that in the translation user TAUS, TAUS, probably even about 2003. So it'd be the Translation Automation User Society. I think it was in their newsletter for Jaap van der Meer, and pretty much he summarized, I was getting 2 to 3 times more productivity than any other statistics that were out there. So being published at the time. Now, some people say, yeah, but that was 20 years ago. Well, guess what? Even when we went to the statistical systems, I want to mention a third one too. So then the CLAW, CLAW, CLAW 2000, Chris Hogan and I gave a paper on how we were using the European Commission translated content, and how we had summarized a number of the rules, all their data that they had, and the content they had multilingual. We were able to devise 7 different rules and to speed up with basically an automatic post-editing algorithm to tack on to even commercial software or whatever. So that was another example of how to speed up things based on training data. So that's what we do with trained data with that, right? So that's what we do with the LLMs, right? So yes, we were doing this 20 years ago with rule-based systems, but we were just tacking on another probabilistic algorithm after it, right? So those are 3. There are others, lots of articles in there. I'm not going to cite all of them, but I'm trying to cite the ones I'm thinking that would give statistics, right? And have the most rather than give an introduction explaining things. Now, is it relevant today? Well, of course, because when we went to statistical-based systems, I actually gave a talk at SAP internally in 2015 about how, if we were to take, it was something called a machine translation, the black box or something with statistical machine translation. And basically what I said was, if we take it, how could we apply it to statistical machine translation? Do doing that. But the same concepts that we're doing with controlled language and with machine translation, all that. Then we went to neural, and with neural machine translation in 2016 and on, basically what we ran into was it was making the content was more fluent sounding in the target language, but the issue with the named entities, it's called terminology, group terms or whatever, they were the ones that were causing the problem. So if we have a dictionary and do that and apply it before or after the translation, it's going to help deal with those groups of terms that are difficult, that do statistically, right, to guess. So, and then we come to LLM, generative AI and all that. If we still apply this at one point in time, usually post-processing or before the process, if you can identify them quickly and then let it guess the rest around it, that's going to make it faster for processing and make it more accurate. So the thing is accuracy. Okay, the translation, especially of these named entities. Okay? So it doesn't matter if it's legacy AI, traditional AI, conventional AI, what you call it, or generative AI. It doesn't matter. These are these are things, and I'm not the only one talking about it. There are lots of posts on this all the time. There are lots of conference papers. It's everyone's dealing with this. So I'm just trying to give what I've worked on, right? So my question was, what have I worked on? And yes, been able to show the efficient. Now we'd still have to. There are lots of attempts today by different researchers. While a lot of people, one of the issues is that translators, they're given machine translation content that's been thrown to a system that hasn't been trained on specific content. So it doesn't matter if it's a rule-based system or a statistic-based system or a neural system or whatever. If you don't train it on content or have customized it in some way with dictionary entries, terminology, named entities that are relevant to your customer data, the data that you're working with, and haven't targeted that, then you're going to end up with crap, right? So this is kind of a general overall trend. So if you've got a system that has been customized to that domain, to that subdomain on the customer data, identify the named entities, you're going to get better translated content, and then you're going to have to do the least amount of post editing afterwards. Okay, so this is just an overall statement. It doesn't matter which AI you're using, right? So that's the one I'm going to hear. God, it's been under 8 minutes. So now I said go to my publications there. There are more up there too. Dig into it, go further, and I'll be going to use case 2, 3, 4, 5, and all those. Okay, thanks.